The fall of the Roman Republic and the rise of Julius Caesar is one of the most dramatic shifts in history, marking the transition from a representative government to an empire ruled by emperors. But the Republic didn't collapse overnight. It was a slow process, driven by key events and individuals whose actions gradually undermined the stability of the political system. In this video, we'll explore 5 pivotal moments that paved the way for Caesar's rise and the end of the Republic. The first turning point came with the Gracchi Reforms, a challenge to the Roman elite. In the late 2nd century BCE, brothers Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus ignited the first serious challenge to the Roman aristocracy. Tiberius Gracchus, elected as tribune of the plebs, recognized the growing inequality in Rome. While the rich controlled vast estates, the poor, including veterans, struggled to farm and survive. To address this, Tiberius proposed land reforms aimed at redistributing wealth by breaking up large estates and giving land to the poor. However, Tiberius's reforms were fiercely opposed by the Senate, which represented the interests of the elite landowners. This resistance culminated in Tiberius's assassination in 133 BCE, followed by the murder of his brother Gaius 10 years later when he sought to continue the reforms. The violent suppression of the Gracchi brothers exposed the corruption and rigidity of the Senate and set a precedent for future clashes between the populares, reformers advocating for the people, and the optimates, the aristocratic elite. This polarization of Roman politics marked the beginning of the Republic's descent into instability and factional violence. The next key event came with Gaius Marius's military reforms. In 107 BCE, Marius enacted changes that fundamentally altered the structure of the Roman army. Until then, soldiers were typically landowning citizens who fought during times of war and returned to their farms afterward. But as Rome's wars expanded and grew more frequent, this system became unsustainable. Marius created a standing army of professional soldiers who were paid volunteers rather than landowners. This shift had profound implications. Roman soldiers were now loyal to their general, who could provide them with land and wealth upon victory rather than to the Republic itself. Marius's reforms allowed military leaders like him, and later Caesar, to command armies that were fiercely loyal to them personally. This laid the groundwork for military strongmen to challenge the Senate's authority, leading to power struggles and civil wars that would eventually destabilize the Republic. Following Marius, another major turning point was Sulla's dictatorship. If Marius opened the door for military power in politics, Sulla stormed through it. In 88 BCE, Lucius Cornelius Sulla marched his legions on Rome, the first time a Roman general had ever used military force to seize control of the city. Sulla's motivation was his conflict with Marius and his desire to protect the optimates from the growing influence of the populares faction. Once in power, Sulla declared himself dictator, but broke with tradition by holding the position indefinitely, rather than stepping down after a crisis had passed. He launched a reign of terror through proscriptions, executing political enemies and seizing their wealth. Sulla's rule demonstrated that a military strongman could overpower the Senate and rule through fear. Though Sulla eventually retired, his actions set a dangerous precedent for future leaders like Caesar to use violence and force to achieve political dominance. The fourth pivotal moment came with the formation of the First Triumvirate. By the time Julius Caesar entered the political scene, the Republic was already weakened by decades of internal conflict. In 60 BCE, Caesar formed a political alliance known as the First Triumvirate with 2 of Rome's most powerful men, Pompey the Great, a celebrated general, and Crassus, the richest man in Rome. This unofficial alliance allowed the 3 men to dominate Roman politics, bypassing the Senate and manipulating key elections. The triumvirate was a clear sign that the Republic's political system was failing. The traditional balance of power between the Senate, the magistrates, and the people had broken down, and real power now rested in the hands of a few powerful individuals. Although the alliance eventually collapsed due to Crassus's death and growing tensions between Caesar and Pompey, it set the stage for the civil war that would soon erupt between Caesar and Pompey's supporters, leading to Caesar's rise to unrivaled power. The final and most decisive moment came in 49 BCE, when Caesar crossed the Rubicon. After the Senate ordered him to disband his army and return to Rome as a private citizen, Caesar chose instead to cross the Rubicon River with his legions, an act of treason that sparked a civil war between Caesar and the Senate, led by Pompey. This bold move was a direct challenge to the authority of the Senate and marked the beginning of the end for the Republic. Caesar's victory in the Civil War and his subsequent appointment as dictator for life signaled the shift from a system of representative governance to one dominated by a single ruler. Although Caesar was assassinated in 44 BCE, his actions had already irreversibly altered Roman history, laying the groundwork for the rise of the Roman Empire under Augustus. The fall of the Roman Republic was not a sudden collapse, but a slow descent, driven by years of internal conflict, power struggles, and the concentration of authority in the hands of a few ambitious individuals. From the Gracchi brothers' reforms to Caesar's crossing of the Rubicon, each of these key moments eroded the foundations of the Republic, making its fall inevitable. Caesar's rise to power was the culmination of this slow decay, and while his reign was brief, it marked the end of an era and the beginning of Rome's transformation into an empire ruled by emperors. Thanks for watching this exploration into the fall of the Roman Republic and the rise of Julius Caesar. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about key moments in history, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Let us know in the comments what other historical events you'd like us to cover next.